Well, hello everybody. How are you all doing? I thought I would take some time and do a little video on Brusho versus all kinds of stuff. So, I was playing around with it yesterday. I know other people have been doing videos on this. It's been around for a few years, so I'm not the first one to do this, and I'm not the first one to have experimented with it. It is a really cool product. So what I thought I would do is start with, we always have copy paper available. So this is just your standard photocopy paper. I think it's only like 20 weight. It's not the super heavy duty stuff. I also wanted to play with this grid one. Is actually tracing paper, and I'll show you the package that I have it from. I've had this for years. It's been in my craft supplies for a while, and it is actually vellum. So we're going to play with some of that. And the other one I have here is tracing paper. This other really light one that you can see here. This is just Cansen's tracing paper. Nothing fancy about it. You can get it at just about any craft store. So we're going to play with that because we all love the crunchiness of that paper. I also figured that what we could do is play with some coffee filters that I've saved. We can play with some doilies. I have an old calendar, so you know we use the pages. Why not? If we're using junk journals or making junk journals, we always want a good selection of paper, so we'll try these as well. On top of that, I also have a little bit of tissue paper, a doily, as I said, the coffee filters. These are used, so I just wash them out, rinse them out after I've brewed the coffee, and then let them dry, and then I save them up for craft purposes. They go really well through die cutting. I also have some cheesecloth. So, we all love cheesecloth, and using that in our products, in our crafting, and also some seam binding. And last but not least, I have a little bit of lace, and I've got some really thin fabric that you would use for doing slips, really linings for different garments. So let's play. Alright, so get this out of the way. And so just to let you know, I have dark brown. Can you see that? And I have scarlet. I also have aquamarine and lemon and orange. Now, unfortunately, these were the only colors that they had at the craft store that one of the craft stores around here that actually carries the product. So I was a little disappointed that that was all I could get, but you know what? You take what you can get. And at $8, typically $7.99 plus tax, they're not cheap, but you get a lot of product in each of these little jars. So the best thing to do, because it is such a very fine, dusty, flaky type product, a powder, the best thing to do is do not open the lid. Just take whatever stabby item you have in your stash, poke a hole in the top, and then just put a push pin. You can just use a push pin itself to stab the hole, and that way you just shake it out as you go. So let's start on, we'll show you different processes. So with page paper, we will take the aquamarine and we'll just shake some on. You can see it's just a very fine flake. and you really don't need much. Depends on how much coverage you want, but this is going to go all over the place. So you want to be careful what you do and how much you spray it. So I have a big spray bottle here, but I've got it set to the fine mist, and I'm going to hold it quite a ways away and give it a spray. And look at the colors that come out of that. Isn't that awesome? That's so pretty. Okay, so now you can also take a smaller sprayer and whatever sprayer you've got and spray in individual spots. Now I don't want to get this too wet because it's already pretty saturated, but while this is wet like this, we can take another page, as long as we like those colors, and lay this on top, and this way we can absorb some of the other color, some of the excess, and then we end up with this lighter one. Now we can still add to this, that's not a problem. We can add more water to this and maybe pick up some more. We can also sprinkle some more on. Look at that just explode. That's awesome. Okay, I need more water right there. And let's lay this down this way. Oh my god, I love that. I almost don't want to mess it up, but you know what? If we don't use our crafting supplies, they just sit on the shelf and collect dust. And what's the use in that? Now that is cool, and I like the white spots because it gives you some interest, it gives you some contrast. So we're going to set that aside for now. And this one I kind of want to leave as is, but if you look, if you want to see, it does soak through the back. But what I'm going to do in just a few of the little spots that don't have a whole lot of color, I'm going to spritz just a little bit more in here, give it some water, and that way it's got a little more coverage. I love this. This is so cool. Okay, now what I'm going to do is dry this with my heat gun. I'm going to just damp mop this just to get some of the excess water off, because actually a lot of the pigment is right in the paper already. It's not going anywhere else. So I'm going to dry this with my heat gun. I will fast forward this through the end video so you don't have to listen or watch. And we'll get this done, and then we'll start on the next piece because I've got a couple other ideas. Now, before I clean this off, because I still have ink here, the other thing you can do is you can wet your surface and just rub other papers on here, and they will grab the ink that's still there. Alright, so other option is wet your surface. You can shake it, you can tap it, you can do whatever, but it's going to disperse a little bit this way first before you put your paper in. So let's just try this one and see what we get. So there's so many things that you can do with your art supplies, and so many people let them sit on shelves and they look at them and they think, I want to make this and I want to make that and I want to make that. Do it. We need to do that. There's so many creative people in this world, and they need to actually show us what they're doing and create. I actually couldn't go a day without creating. It drives me nuts when I do. If I don't do some knitting, or if I don't do some drawing, or do something in my bullet journal, it's just, I need to create. Now this one is pretty saturated. I don't think I want to add any more to that, but that's just another example of spray the surface, sprinkle it on, and then just keep moving it back and forth. Now I could add more water here, if I don't know if you can see, but there's still crystals here. So if you give it a spritz where you can still see or feel crystals, the color will still move. You know, you'll still get some movement from it, and it'll bleed out into other areas. So let me give this one a quick dry, and then we will try something else. Okay, so just can you see? I don't know if it'll focus. If it's focusing on my hand. But I love the little splatters, oops, of color. And you get such a mix of blues and purples, and there's even a fair bit of teal in there. It's so pretty. All right, so let's put those aside, and let's go with the coffee filters. Try a couple of those. And I don't care that there's still ink on here. I want to get the coffee filter down. And what I'm going to try, I got it flipped over here. I'm going to use the, what do I want? Oh, there's so many choices. Okay, let's do the Ultramarine and the lemon. So we'll get some of the Ultramarine down. Don't need a whole lot. It's just a little coffee filter. Okay, and then we'll throw some of the lemon on. Now, if any of you remember your primary colors, blue and yellow, will make green. So let's see what kind of green we can get. And lightly, and let's see the colors blend. Not blending as much as I thought they might, but they are blending. What if we lift up? Oh yeah, there's some greens. There we have green. Okay, while I have this here, what I want to do, see if we can pick some of that excess up here. What do we get? We get greens and yellows and blues. These are going to be some funky pages. I actually kind of almost like this better than coffee dyeing. Coffee dyeing's great, but this is cool. And I kind of have an idea of doing a couple of journals that are flower, springy related. So I want to get some of these colors that are gonna reflect that. So there's a method to my madness. And we are going to put this down. I'm going to add yellow. We're going to add the yellow first this time, just so that it's a little bit brighter and not as much blue. And we'll see what happens. Ultramarine, which Ultramarine is obviously a mix of colors because it's got the purples and it's got the teal and everything. It's just so pretty. So pretty. And that's definitely got some more yellow in it. Yes, still like it. Okay, do I want to add a little bit more to this one? Sure, why not? It's just paper, and we all love paper. And it will get used. Alright, so I want to pick that up. And this one is fully saturated. Kind of wanted a little more definition between the colors, but I don't mind that being, you know, as you can see, it's a good mix of the two. So what I'm gonna do is put another coffee filter down just to try and absorb some of that excess, and I'm gonna dry these to get them out of the way. Okay, so let's play with the red and the orange, and maybe even the brown, but I'm thinking the red's gonna be pretty cool. Now this still has some color from the other batch on here. I don't want to put too much on. Let's just see how the red goes. That's intense. It's awesome. Okay, so pick it up, turn it over. We can absorb some of the other. Maybe we'll just leave that like that. And why don't we grab some of these petals? I don't know if you've ever seen these. I know I've had them in my stash for a while. You can get them at like Michael's or something. And some of the, I think they're just these little silk petals. I think they're in the wedding department, but you can usually get them fairly cheap. I know I've dyed some before with something else, and I had a package, and you know, I was able to dye some of these blue. I don't remember what I dyed them with, but I thought, why not see if we can get some of these dyed. Maybe we might have to do them individually, but I know once these flowers are dyed, like you can put together, oops, getting red on this already, nice little flowers. Just glue them together, put a nice little thing in the center, a little gem or a jewel, or even, you know, some bling, and you've got a nice little flower embellishment for something. But these are actually kind of going pink, so we'll set those aside because it doesn't hurt to have a multitude of colors. Okay, so that's pretty red. We are going to grab another one just to soak up some of this. And then maybe we'll add some orange. Set this one over here. Yes, they get sticky. Alright, where's my orange? Need to brighten this up. What can we do? Let's see how bright orange can be. Still pretty close to the red, so let's lighten it up with some more yellow. Probably doesn't help on this table with the pink flowers underneath, because that's all you're seeing through everything else, but that's pretty bright. So, because I just don't want to waste any of the color, grab the tracing paper. See, this stuff really likes to curl when it gets wet, but it's got that wonderful crinkly feel to it. Hey, that's pretty cool. It's tracing paper, but there seems to be a black thread in it. And no, it is not a cat hair. I would expect it would be a cat hair in this house, but since we have two, and they're always on my desk. Alright, I think we have a fair bit of color on this. So, let me dry these, and then I will be back. Now, one note when you are drawing tracing paper. Okay, those are done. Let's clean this up a bit. Just a little bit. Oh, and you know, yeah, I have a my tablecloth that's on here, but then I just have a big piece of acrylic that I put on here for when I'm playing with paints and that, and you know, possibly stuff that won't actually come off the tablecloth once I'm done, but that's okay. And of course, hands are getting really nasty, but that's all right. That's part of crafting. So, what are we going to try next? Let's do a page of this, and maybe we'll throw in some fabric, because we always need bits of fabric. And I've got a piece of lace here, and oh, seam binding. I've got all kinds of seam binding here, so I'll throw in a bit of that. So let's see what we can do. I'm thinking I need some brighter colors, so let's play with the yellow. Definitely the yellow first, and then maybe, ooh, the brown might be cool with the yellow. Wonder what kind of mix should lighten it up, maybe. Sometimes you gotta give them a tap, the hole gets plugged, because the crystals aren't all the same size. Alright, so that's yellow. Let's throw in, it's called dark brown. So, let's see. Give it a bit of that. Oh, that comes out a little bit faster. This would almost be like your coffee dyeing or tea dyeing. So, nice and bright. Look at how it explodes. That's friggin' awesome. Okay, let's get some color in the fabric, because we always need little bits and bobs of fabric for adding to our junk journals or making making little clusters. Ooh, look at that with it being yellow. That's so cool. Maybe a little more brown though, just to give it some more dimension. Oh, look at that. Okay, I like that speckled. That's pretty cool. And look at how that just exploded. It's like tiger stripes. Okay, so we also have some here, and we put some more here. So let's get seam binding in there so we can have some of the color. Cool. Alright, so we have that. We have some lace that is now dyed. Just trying to get some of the brown off where it's speckled all over the place. Okay, that'll be cool to use as an edging on something. And the seam binding doesn't have a whole lot of color on it, so let's try a little bit more. The brown, and maybe let's just throw in some red for fun. Alright, so now the seam binding has lots of color, and our page underneath has lots of color. I don't want to fuss with this too much, but I could grab this doily and let it absorb some of it, because you know it needs to have some fun too. And that'll look really cool on a page or as a decoration to a corner. And yes, I'm talking about junk journals. There's all kinds of ways we can use paper, and we can make it fun. See, now this absorbed most of the red. It's got some brown in it, but it's still pretty cool. Alright, we need to dry some of this. I don't think I can absorb much more than what's already here, because this one page underneath is getting pretty saturated. So let's dry this and then I'll be back. Unless I play some more. I have these pieces of, I don't even know what it is anymore, but it's very light and I've made flowers out of it, and it is very, very thin. I'm thinking organza, is that what it is? Can't remember. I was just wondering if it would pick up some of this color as well. I don't want to do a whole lot more because I don't want this paper to shred, but definitely don't want to add any more water. So back to drying. All right, so you know, there's an explosion of colors on this page, but I really, really love it. I wasn't sure I was gonna like it, especially since I had added, you know, the yellow and then the brown and then the red, but in the back has got these pink colors that came through, but the front, I actually really, really like it. There's a little spot here that is just really, really cool with this little swirl, and then the splotchiness here, it looks like confetti. You know, it looks like a party. So anyway, so just to recap, so we've got this page, which is really pretty, and you know what, for putting in junk journals and all that, or you could stamp on this. You could put a really nice flower stamp on it and then cut it out. Or you could do the doodles like Cece does. I'll try and remember all these names that I'm putting out. But you could do flower doodles in that and then cut it out. It doesn't have to be exact. This lace is really, really pretty. That's going to look really nice as trim somewhere. You can see a little bit of sparkle there. This fabric I can use and tear up. I can use it as the binding on a junk journal, on the spine or whatever. You could cut out flowers. I could use my die cutter and cut out different flowers, or you could use it for the little, what do they call them? I can't remember the name of it, sorry. If I think of it later, but it's just, little clusters. And when you use a little piece of fabric, you want something to layer with it. And that has got some really cool colors in it. I might have to try that again. There's another idea I have with that already. The seam binding came out really, really nice. It has a lot of shine to it just because of the way seam binding is, but with the variegation of the red in there, I really like that. That'll be really good to hang tassels off of, or do a little pull in the center of a book. Some of the organza, I don't know, I might use it. I think it tinted a little bit. The doily definitely has some color, mostly red, which will be cool. I could use a little side pocket, or you know, we could put that along the edge and have a little tuck spot in one of the journals, or just as part of the background and then layer on top of it. There's all kinds of ideas there. You could even stamp. This would be really cool if you took one of the script stamps that has all kinds of stuff and then stamp on top of this and then use it as a layer on a page. That would be awesome. And then we have all kinds of the coffee filters dyed. This one's kind of a muted red, and it's got a few more colors in it. This has got more yellow in it, a yellow and orange, which is really pretty. It's nice and bright. A few of those petals, they actually did take some of the dye, some of the ink paint, but not a whole lot. Gotta love the crinkle of the tracing paper. That's gonna be nice. Fold that up and put that, or make pockets, or make envelopes with it. Everyone likes that. Another coffee filter with the blues and the yellows. And then we've got several pages here. So we've got, you know, the blue and yellow to make green, and then the coffee filter that helped to make the green, and then just the ultramarine on its own. The ultramarine is just an amazing color with a bunch of items, or different colors in it, with the teal and the purple and the blues. So that was a cool experiment. I like that. I have to do some more because I want to play some more with the orange and the brown, and we'll see what else I can make, because we can always use more pages, and stamping on these would be cool. Cutting them out in die cuts will be cool. So many uses for this. So if you're able to get your hands on some Brusho, a lot of times I see it on Amazon and that, and it's always available as a 12-pack. There are stores that do have it individually. I'll have to look up some of them. But this is made in the UK, and Canadian wise, they're typically $8 each, $7.99 each plus tax. So you may be able to get them cheaper elsewhere. There is another type of brush crystals like this. I don't remember their name off the bat, but they have good reviews too, so you'll get the similar effect. Actually, I think some of them have been reviewed, and they're a little bit brighter in color. They're more vibrant. So do what you can. If you've got them, use them. If you don't have some, see if you can find some, but you don't need a multitude of colors to get a lot of different effects. And as you know, with most colors, they do mix, so see if you can get the primaries and play with those. On that, I will say happy crafting, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!